Hey everyone, welcome to Wildlife Inspired. This is your channel for photography, for wildlife, and for wildlife photography. And today I'm surrounded by tripods, specifically travel tripods. I've got a couple different models. We're going to talk about different styles, different features, and hopefully find one catered to what you're looking for right after this. Now lately I've been doing some traveling, and on each of my trips I've taken a different type of tripod with me, and I wanted to talk today about some travel tripods. We're really going to deal with different styles, and I've got some different brands in here. We're going to give you the specifics on those, but it's not really a product review as much as it is just different types of travel tripods. I'm going to get this one started by giving you the standard. So I've got my everyday tripod out here. This one made by Leofoto. This is their 403 series. Now I've got a couple of tripods from Leofoto, and I wanted to thank them for giving me those tripods for this review. This particular tripod is the one that I use every day. So when I'm out in the field, this heavier weight, a little bit more robust tripod is the one that I prefer. However, there are some things about this that make it less convenient to travel with. Number one, when it compacts down, it's a little bit larger. It's also a little bit heavier. It's got a very large apex at the top, and that isn't always as convenient as it could be. So while it's really, really rugged and it's my favorite tripod, it's not one that I really enjoy traveling with. So I've got some other ones out here that I want to show you. But before I do, let me just put up some of the specs. For each of these models, I'm going to put the specs up here. The 403, my standard everyday kind of heavy duty tripod, runs $599. Now I've got 3 products from Leofoto. I will tell you they offer me a discount. Down below there's a 20% coupon code. It works on anything on their website. So if you're interested in Leofoto products, please take a look at that link down below for each of the products. But also don't forget to use that coupon code Wildlife20. That's going to save you a little bit of money. Now this one is a little bit heavier in terms of overall weight, so 5.2 pounds. And while it is very nice and tall, and it's got a very robust 40 millimeter leg diameter at the top, a little bit heavier. So it supports a lot of weight, really great tripod, love the way it's built, but when I travel, it's not the one I take. So I'm gonna put this one to the side, and we're gonna talk about a couple different styles of tripod here. The first one I'm gonna show you, also made by Leofoto, is just a standard tripod, but very small. So one option for traveling is just to buy a smaller tripod. This is their 28-4 model, their LP28-4X. A few things about this one. It is extended at its highest height. Now I'm sitting down right now. This one will only raise to 48 inches. I'm 6 feet tall. This is 2 feet shorter than I am. By the way, when looking at a maximum tripod height, it does not need to be as tall as you are. First of all, your eyes aren't on the top of your head. Second of all, you're going to add a head to this, which is going to elevate it anywhere from 6 to 12 inches. So you're going to add height to that. But even when I add height to this, it still forces me to crouch over a little bit. There's some really good things about this one. So let me get started on what this means. The 28-4 stands for a top diameter of 28 millimeters. I don't really like to go much less than 28 millimeters on any of my tripods. It just starts to feel a little thin when you get below that. It's 4 sections, so it's got 4 sections here, and it compresses very nicely. It goes all the way down to 18 inches. It only weighs 2.5 pounds. So of the 4 tripods that I've got out here in my office today, this one has the lightest weight. There's a couple downsides to this, and of course there's a couple really good things. The downside of this one really is just the height. At the end of this video, I'll tell you which ones I prefer, because of all the ones I'm going to show you, I've got a different favorite depending on what I'm using it for. What I do like about this is I can flatten it down. I can go all the way to the ground with this one. I can spread those legs out, and I can do any kind of photography or even videography that requires me to be really, really low angle. The downside of it is it's just not really, really tall. Now, could I get a taller tripod with more sections? I could. But every time I add a section to this, it's also going to add weight. The reason I chose this one is because I wanted to find a really, really light option and tell you, is it usable at this height? This is one of the ones I take most of the time when I travel. Even though it is shorter than me and it's not the most convenient thing to bend over, I'm generally not using it all the time, and I'm generally not forced to just lean over a tripod for 15, 20 minutes at a time. Typically, when I see action, I just lower myself, take the pictures, and then stand back up or become erect again. So yeah, not my favorite in terms of height. I wish it was a little bit higher, but I really, really like it. Now about this particular, again, it's not a product review, but I want to point this out. The price point on this is $379. With a coupon code, it's going to get you much closer to $300. So you can find this right around $300. This uses their waterproof series for these leg adjustments. I've done a video about these adjustments in general. I wasn't sure if it was a gimmick. They really work. So I do enjoy traveling with this because this one is much more waterproof than the other ones. And sometimes when I'm out in the field, I do like to put this in the water. Just for fun, I've got an image over here. This is an American Dipper. Photographed this with this tripod. And because height is irrelevant at that point, I'm sitting in the water. I can put this down into the water, and knowing that it's waterproof and I'm not going to have to clean it out later and it's going to get gritty and grimy on the inside, felt really, really, really good. So this is their Leo Photo. I'll put the pros and cons. Pretty simple on pros and cons on this one, but I'll put them up here just for your sake as I reach over for the next tripod. Also by Leo Photo, and this one's just built a little bit different. So I told you I'm going to have 3 styles here for this video. This style, I'll call this a center column. This is at its maximum height adjusted, so it's right around that same 4 foot. However, this one has a center column. This will get me, you can see it's well up to here, this will actually get me about 60 inches. So some advantages to this, but of course there's going to be some disadvantages as well. This one is designed similarly. This has, this by the way is their model 32-4, so LX 32-4, 4 sections, top diameter is 32 millimeters, so a little bit bigger than the last one I showed you. I do want to show you the top of this one because it is designed differently. This center column is actually designed, if you could see in here, and I might have to do some close-ups for you over on the side. It's just designed as this is one set molded piece. So this is a forged piece and it's solid. So it doesn't give you the ability, with some tripods you can flip out what they call this top plate. The top plate's interchangeable. You can put a bowl in there, for example. You could put a flat base in there. These do not allow you to do that. So you're kind of stuck with this configuration. You could remove the center column completely. So there is an option to do that. It's not the most convenient thing to do in the world. So in general, when I'm using this, I leave the center column on. This one is really, really well made. Let me just run through some of these specifications. It's $300 without any discounts. It'll put you closer to $240 with any of my discounts. The weight is going to be a little bit heavier because it's got this center column. There's an extra leg on there. It's going to add about a pound to the last tripod I showed you. This is 3.6 pounds, but the max height is going to be better. It's actually 66 inches. It's over 60 inches. When it folds down, it's 19 inches, so it's pretty compact, and it's rated to hold 33 pounds. So I feel pretty good about this. I will tell you, when this is lowered, it's very stable because the center of gravity is real low, the base is pretty wide. I have no problem shooting my 10 to 12 pound setups on top of this. When the center column gets extended, you get the extra height you need, but the center columns are never going to be as sturdy. So there's always going to be just a little bit more ability to move or vibrate. That's just the nature of the design. There's nothing really good or bad about it. It's just the nature of the design. So I will tell you, this is a really nice setup for a lot of different reasons. It does give me the extra height, but that extra height comes at the expense of a little extra weight, figure almost up to a pound of extra weight. And for me, very importantly, this center column can often get in the way when I want to get low. So I really don't have the ability to flatten this out and shoot on the ground unless I go through the process of removing the center column completely. On the other side of this, one of the things that you can do with this, and I'm not going to go through the whole process, but I can actually remove this center column completely and I can flip it upside down. Now, if for a wildlife photographer, there's not maybe a whole lot of applications where you would find yourself wanting to flip a center column or invert a center column, but if I can find the thread, there it is, you can. So, I'm not going to set it up, but you could see that column's now inverted. My camera could hang down lower. I could get low angle photography. Might not be the most ideal way to do it by doing this. So I'll give you my application. There are some applications that I really actually do like this. So at the end of the video, I'm going to go through all three of these and tell you what my favorite applications are for these. And maybe they're not all wildlife applications. So a little teaser here on this one. I wonder if you can already figure out what some of my favorite applications for this one are. So as I thread this back in, I'm just going to wrap up. I'll put these figures up there again so you can kind of look at the stats for this one. Some real advantages to this. The pros being, it gets taller. The disadvantages, I can't go flat and it adds a little bit of weight. I got one more tripod over here to show you. And this one's really, really interesting. So this one comes to me, and I'll put it over here now. I've got it in kind of a tabletop mode so that you can see how small this is right now. This one comes to me from a company called Hypey. I'm sorry, Hypey. I asked them how their pronunciation was. I want to say Hypey. They say, think of Hypey like happy. By the way, the logo for them, I'll put it over here, is near and dear to my heart. It's a spoonbill. Now, it's a Chinese spoonbill, but it is a spoonbill, a type of bird. So anyway, they get some bonus points for that. This one's super interesting. So while this one is made from Hypey, manufactured in China, there are a couple companies with very similar designs. So I told you that the idea is to show you styles of tripods, not just do product reviews for each one. But in the process, I am going to show you the information. So let's put the information for this one up here, and then I'm going to show you what makes this one really, really unique. We start with price, $429. The tripod you're seeing right now does not have a ball head on it. However, it comes with a ball head. So when I put this on at $429, a little bit more than the other travel tripods, I also get this ball head included. And the price of a ball head about this size is gonna run you, I'm gonna say $100. Now, don't quote me on price because these things can go from $50 all the way up to $500. But in terms of value, that's probably what you could expect from this. Some of the other interesting numbers over here. It's a 5-section tripod. We'll get to that in a minute. 3 pounds, so in the middle of the other two. It has a max height of 59 inches. Not bad. For somebody my size, 59 inches is just about what I need at 6 feet tall. It will actually go all the way up, and I don't have to crouch down to use it because that head is going to bring it up a little bit taller. The max load on this is rated at 44 pounds, and it compacts the most because it goes all the way down to 17 inches. Part of that is because it's got 5 sections. Now, there's advantages and disadvantages. So I'm going to show you on this side. I'm going to open it up in just a second, but I want to show you. So this starts here, and I believe this one starts at 28 millimeters wide. But because it's got 5 sections, it telescopes all the way down. I'm just going to show you the smallest section here, and we'll put it over there. So the difference between the 28 and what it gets down to, and I think it gets down to about 13 millimeters, it gets pretty thin because, again, each section telescopes. So one of the things about that is it's going to make it not quite as sturdy for heavy equipment. And I want to emphasize heavy equipment. So I'm talking about those setups that are like 10, 15, 20 pound setups. It's got snaps at the bottom, so it doesn't use twist locks, it uses snaps. I find these snaps to be, and you'll see how quickly I can do this, they're very quick to use, so I can snap this open and close pretty quickly. And there's a lot of interesting features about this one. I will tell you, just as I'm setting this up, by far the most versatile of these tripods. It does a lot of things that you might be pretty surprised at. So here I have it set up. However, just like that center column raised and lowers, this one also has similar. So I'm going to pull this. I'm going to loosen that up. There we go. And then I'm going to pull this center column up, and I'm going to tighten that up. And I've got an interesting center column. It's going to be a little bit tougher to come through the video, but you can see it's got actually 3 holes in here. Now, when this is set up, I told you the legs are a little bit thinner because of that 5 sections, but when it's set up, it's in pretty good shape. It's not going to give me a lot of problems in terms of vibration or feeling loose or flimsy. However, it will not feel as strong as the other tripods. I will tell you that and that's from that telescoping and then adding a center column. So I'll give you the pros and the cons and who it's for at the end, but I'm not done showing you this one yet. I've got it up now. It's pretty good height. I'm at 60 inches. I'm going to do one more kind of interesting thing. I'm going to continue to turn this, and I'm going to keep going. I'm going to pull the center column out. Now what I've got is a tripod, a shorter tripod, that could take a gimbal head. It could unscrew the ball head and put it back on here. And then what is this all about? Well, this is another tripod. this is actually a second tripod. So I've got a tabletop tripod built into a travel tripod. This will flatten out. So if I ever needed something like, oh my gosh, I wish I could get down on the ground real quick. I mean, this one really flattens out. And it's got a couple of other interesting things. It's got a cell phone holder built in here. So if you see right here, it's got a built-in cell phone holder or iPhone holder. It's just super versatile. It's got a lot of different features that really, really make this appealing. So while it may not be the best travel tripod for a really heavy rig, man, could this thing be really, really good for other setups. Let me run through the specs. I'll put them up here one more time before I put all of the specs up here, and then I'm gonna give you my thoughts on which tripod is really best for which applications. So there's the specs for you. That kind of compares them all at the same time. You can see price. Now on price on those Leofoto models, I did do their retail price plus the discounted price that I have. You'll see the number of sections, the weight, the maximum leg diameter, as well as the maximum height, the folded height, and then the weight, the load that it's rated to hold. All right, so now let's put this aside a little bit and talk about which tripods I like the most and which ones I use for which situations. Now I will tell you this, there is not a favorite of any of these. There's not one that I would say, this is the best of these that I showed you, or this is the best style. Each one comes with pros and cons, and I've mentioned those pros and cons before. I find myself often gravitating to this tripod because without that center column, it allows me to go flat. Now that's important to me as a photographer. That may mean nothing to you. So as a wildlife photographer, if I'm comfortable with that shorter height, this is something that might work for me. I didn't talk, real quickly, I want to mention one other thing about this. The heads on these, where the heads go on all of these travel tripods, it's a very short or very narrow head. This one's 55 millimeters or 50 millimeters on this little platform. So when selecting a head, try to find one that matches up to that. So it'll be listed on any website where you purchase something from, but these smaller ball heads are normally around 50 to 60 millimeters wide. These two from Leofoto have both platforms of 50 millimeters. The one from Hapy has an opportunity to go up to 60. So you can go with a 60 millimeter head on that one. So this one I like because as it's short, it's still stable enough to hold my heavier gear. I tend to have to hunch over a little bit, but it does flatten out. So if I had to pick like versatile, I want to be out in the woods, I want to get into the wild, I don't know where I'm going to go in a lot of different places. This is really good as, I'm going to call it like an all-terrain travel tripod. I can hike with it, it's light enough, and it's the lightest of all of the ones that I had here. So very hikeable, very easy to get into different terrain, very adjustable, but it doesn't get really, really, really tall. Now I'm going to jump over to this one. This is the Leofoto, and this has that center column. And this one was able to get up much, much taller and easy to adjust fast. So if I want to go, anywhere high to low with the center column, I can do so pretty quickly. And I showed you that I can also invert it. So what do I like this one for? Well, honestly, this one's good for travel if I know I'm not going to flatten it out for any reason. And if I know I'm going to be in a spot where I might want that extra height, this works really well. I am also drawn to this as a macro photographer. Doing some macro in my yard, what I found is this center column being able to move up and down quickly. And there are some other adjustments. I'm not doing a macro video, but there's some other heads you can put on here that work really well for macro photography. I've actually found this one to be pretty good. Again, that ability to change height without adjusting all the legs has come in very, very handy in my backyard. So favorite application for this one, in addition to travel, is also macro photography. If you're only purchasing one tripod, keep that in mind. If you don't flatten out your tripod very often, or maybe you've got another tripod that flattens out like an everyday heavy duty tripod, that might be something to consider. This might be a little bit more versatile in terms of doing things that standard tripod can't. And here's my last one, and this is that Hapy. This is that travel tripod, really light, really compact, and super, super versatile. So if I was doing a lot of content creation, I showed you that the head on this will actually turn into a phone holder. It'll turn into a tabletop tripod. Man, I could go out, be doing wildlife photography, and set my iPhone up here and do a time lapse of the sun rising. I could do some content creation out in the field, knowing that I have this other tripod set up and ready to go in case I need it, but I'm gonna do some kind of content creation. Landscape photographers, you'd be fine with this one. It doesn't, you don't have to support 20 pounds as a landscape photographer. And again, it's got some really, really nice features and versatility. So this one, the Hapey, by far the most versatile of the tripods. And while it's rated to hold a lot of weight, I will tell you in terms of having a heavier setup, I preferred one of the other two tripods, but would definitely recommend. By the way, they're all good. If I didn't like these products, they would have been in the video or I would have told you about it. But they're all very, very good products. But when you're dealing with these travel tripods, you really do need to consider, how do I shoot? Do I need to be flat on the ground ever on this trip? Am I just hiking a short distance? Do I need something to support maybe a heavier tripod? Am I going to be doing content creation out there? Do I do a lot of cell phone video? That's going to lean you possibly one way or another. So that's my video for you today. Hope you enjoyed this one around travel tripods. Now stay tuned. I did not talk about tripod heads for traveling, and I've got 2 more videos coming up in a series around lighter weight equipment and traveling. I'm going to do one around different gimbal setups to travel with, so the different types of heads you could experiment with, might be a little bit lighter and easy to travel with. And I'm also going to do one on fluid heads. I've got a lot of requests to do a follow-up on some fluid head videos, and I'm going to do some smaller fluid heads and see how they shake out against the fluid head that I use as my everyday fluid head here at home. So let me know if you like the video. Hit the like button, make sure you hit the subscribe button and hit that thumbs up. That'll push the content out to like-minded people. If there's a video you'd like to see or a product review or comparison, put it down in the comments and you let me know. And as always, I hope we can continue to find inspiration in wildlife together.